Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Storytime. I am your host and producer, Courtney Baker. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I have two awesome guests. I've actually been trying to schedule them for a little while. It has been an absolutely hectic season for them, but they're officially in their off season, so they had time to chat with me. They are JT Marcinkowski and Matt Bersano, and they are both amazing people. They were goalkeepers with us in Reno, with Reno 1868 FC, but they were mainly with the San Jose Earthquakes. They were just loaned out to us. But they came in clutch for us for several seasons, and I'm really excited to hear because MLS was insane in 2020, and we didn't get to see them at all due to the COVID protocols. So I hope you enjoy just me catching up with them and hearing all of the juicy gossip about what happened in 2020. Just kidding, no gossip. Yeah. All right, y'all, we are back with JT and Matt. How are you guys?
Good, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, excited.
Of course. So I'm going to start because before we started recording, Matt, you told me you were back in Arizona. And I try to brag to everyone here in Reno, and I know JT, you have similar weather back home as well, but in Reno, it's 30 degrees, 15 when you wake up. And I said, Arizona, in December, you're wearing shorts and a t-shirt. So you were just home. Tell everyone how amazing Arizona is in December.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's uncomparable. It's why it's why like their golf and everything like that is just on fire right now. Yeah, we were home for about 2 weeks, and everywhere you went was like 70 degrees. I think the coldest day we had was like one day of rain, which like 55, which felt so nice. But that's what San Jose is like, so it's not too big of a deal.
And JT, you're in California, right? That's where you're from.
Yeah, Bay Area.
And it's nicer weather than here, right?
Oh yeah. Today it was like, I mean, it gets relatively cold, like in the mornings and at night, but it's like low 40s or high 30s. But today, all my friends on the East Coast were sending me pictures because they're just getting killed with snow. Yeah. And I just like walked outside and it was just like beautiful sunshine. And I was like, oh yeah, winter's so tough out here. Yeah.
I know. I could not wait to go home because I've been in sweats for the last month. But you guys are both obviously in your off season right now. And 2020 was an insane season. I mean, y'all couldn't even come to Reno just because of the protocols and all of that. So now that you finally have a break, how have you guys been utilizing your off season?
Yeah, I'll start this one off. So I was taught back in 2016 by MLS legend. His name is Troy Perkins. I was always taught that right when the season ends, like after all the work you put in and stuff, and that's why like we're on different situations because JT had camp after and kept going. But like right when you finally get to detox, he always felt you need 10 to 14 days, just 10 to 14 days where you do not think about soccer. You do not put on cleats. You do not put on gloves, and you just kind of reset yourself a bit. It doesn't mean you don't do anything. Like we ended up during that 10 to 14 days, I hiked like 6 miles into the Grand Canyon. It was insane. It was awesome, but it was just, it wasn't playing soccer. And so you kind of get to reset your mind a bit. And so we did that. And then starting up last week, I started up some training again. And then this week we have our official like preseason stuff has been sent out. So it's kind of where we're at.
Dang. And you did bring up a good point. JT, you have just small news. You've been with the U.S. men's national team. So did you get a break at all, or how quickly after the playoffs were you sent to camp?
So it's pretty funny. I was actually, so they come out with like a preliminary roster before the camp, and just to make sure there's a multitude of guys ready. And so I was on that roster. So I was always kind of thinking, okay, I'll take a few days off and then get back in the swing of things before camp. And then I found out I wasn't going on Monday morning. So I was like, okay, cool. Like no problem. Like off season, like time just to relax. So those 2 days, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just hanging out. And then I get a call like Wednesday night from the coach, like, hey, could you come in? One of the goalies got hurt. And I was like, oh yeah, like no problem. So thankfully I was training prior to those few days, but ended up being really good. And definitely it wasn't that long. It was only like 5 or 6 days. So it wasn't that bad.
And you've represented the U.S. at a couple different levels now. So how big of an honor is it for you? And you're still young. You're younger than me. but to already have so much experience with the national team, just how amazing is that for you?
Yeah, it's really cool. I think it's something that you definitely can't take for granted. And I know it doesn't come around all the time. And so I think always growing up, I definitely tried to keep my head level and make sure it didn't get to me, because it was quite clear the kids on youth national teams, when they came into camp and they thought they made it, or they thought it was like, all right, now I'm good, and you didn't really see them at the next camp. So it was always the guys who try to keep a level head and make sure that a U15 camp isn't the top stage, and just try to keep a little bit more perspective on it.
That's a great point. And I know I barely got to know you guys just with the deal that you guys had with Reno and the Quakes. You guys would come in, I think, like a day or two before the match, then you were gone the next day. But from just everybody listening, you two, and the time that I did get to see you in Reno, you both were so awesome with the staff, and I know the fans loved you guys. So it was definitely weird not having either of you in goal in 2020. I was kind of nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, we have to actually have a keeper besides JT or Matt. Like, I don't know how it's going to go. And it was okay. It was actually pretty successful,
really
better
good.
than I think
really
everyone
good.
thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for you guys, MLS shut down, I think a few hours before USL. And then all the protocols and stuff like that. And I think fans don't realize, maybe you guys have seen on social media, but they don't realize all the risks that you guys had to take to play this year, all the protocols and stuff like that. So if either of you or both of you just kind of want to walk everyone through what you guys had to go through as athletes to be able to play this year and to put on a season for the fans.
Yeah, I can start us off on maybe even a different spin-off of that question. JT and I are both, we were two of the members of the Player Association. So we handled kind of the back and forth between ever getting to where the protocols were ever implemented. So that was a process in itself. The amount of calls we had to sit in on, the amount of individual conversations, I swear we were working out at our house, but I was on the phone with JT for an hour and a half every other day of the week, just trying to figure out how we were going to get the collective bargaining stuff going on at the same time, along with getting guys to kind of understand what the tournament in Florida was going to be like, because we knew nothing. The MLS knew nothing. PA knew nothing. It was just kind of one of those, try to figure it out as we go and try to keep everybody as informed as possible. So in itself, before you even get to the protocol side, that was an experience, definitely.
Yeah, that's so crazy. And I know then you guys had the bubble in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
And just what was that like? Because I think anybody would be like, lockdown in Disney World, like that sounds super fun, but obviously theme parks, you guys can't do all of that. So what was it like playing in the bubble? And you guys actually did pretty well. So how fun was that whole experience?
Yeah, I mean, I would be the first to say that I was pretty skeptical going in. I think all of us were just like 6 weeks at a hotel, like nothing to do. Like that is going to be brutal. But like looking back on it, it was an absolute blast. Like, yeah, you didn't know your daily schedule, or a lot of things were changing. You were getting tested every other day, almost every day. And so, but like the amount of fun that our team had during training, during meals, playing all different games, after games, like it was an absolute blast. And all the credit goes to the MLS. Credit goes to definitely the players as well for kind of buying into it and just kind of being there for the experience. I think our team, one of the reasons why our team did so well is because we really wanted to be there and we love hanging out with each other. And so I think that definitely shows on the field.
Yeah, it was super fun to watch you guys. And then I have to ask, this is something that I've asked our players that I've had on the show since Reno 1868 folded. But when you guys were with us, you had the chance to play for head coach Ian Russell, who obviously, as most soccer fans would know, has had MLS experience. He's very well just recognized around the league. So for you guys, now that he is a free agent, what can you say about Ian Russell and what it was like playing for him?
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, I don't know the exact amount that JT played in games and numbers, but for myself, I got like 58 games or something played with him. I'm thankful for all of it. I think the way that he stayed kind of true to himself as a coach amongst the adversity that he faced, going through a multitude of different head coaches above him, because that's kind of, as the affiliate, you always kind of have to listen to what they say, take the advice there. But at the end of the day, you still got to win the games that you're playing now with the players in front of you. And I think that the way that he was able to take on whatever the player personnel was and whatever it was and then attack it in his own way, I mean, it's super admirable. I love the way we played over there, the 4-3-3 and everything like that, and the diamond and all of that, and then the way we were able to possess against whoever we were playing. It was always a good time for us.
Yeah, I totally echo what Matt said. I think his flexibility and also just the way he held players accountable, like no matter who you were, I thought was something that was really admirable. I think coming in my first year, obviously Matt played all of 2017, and then I played a lot of the 2018 because Matt was with the first team. It was like a whole new experience, obviously being with a whole new team, but it's not like we were training every day. You know, you'd fly in on the weekends and play the games, then go home. But the way he kind of really emphasized the group mentality and making sure that guys were friends on and off the field, it was something I really, really enjoyed, and I'm super grateful for to experience it my first 3 years.
Yeah, I've heard very similar things from the other guys too. And I hope that he lands somewhere above USL going forward. But you did mention it, and I've mentioned it earlier. With you guys, your roles were kind of weird with us, just the flying in right before, leaving right after. So what kind of just toll did it take on you guys, either mentally or physically or nothing at all, just to know that you're coming in for a match to do your job and then you go right back to San Jose with the Quakes? Like, was it hard or was it just part of the job?
I think initially it was hard,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And then every other weekend was a different part. So like you'd get used to flying in on potentially Thursday night, training Friday, playing the game Saturday, and then you fly back on Sunday. But then the next weekend they're in El Paso. So we would fly in Thursday night, fly out with them Friday morning to try and train in Texas Friday evening before the game Saturday. And then, there's a delay there, there's something that, so it was like those things that we just could not control. That was a part of it. That was definitely it was a learning curve. You had to learn that, because otherwise you were going in the game and we'd have a really hard week. And I know some of the times where it'd be like Thursday and JT or I we'd talking to each other and we'd be like, legs are pretty heavy. Where are we heading this week? Type of thing. That's just the way it was. But the best part about that was with Ian, he understood what we were going through, but he didn't care. He wanted you to come and deliver. And that standard that he made for us, every weekend we were going to try to play our best. It didn't matter whether we were in El Paso, Austin, got stuck in a airport in Denver for 5 hours because our flight to RGV got canceled or something. It didn't matter. You had to go and play the game. And that was awesome.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think it really taught me how to just be flexible and just roll with the punches. Before, I was pretty I wouldn't say superstitious, but have a routine all the time. I always want to have the same meal before the game and whatnot. But at a certain point, you kind of just realize it doesn't really matter. All that matters is if you're playing well on the field. So I think a few stories from 2019. I remember one. So I was in Reno, or we played SAC. I think we played SAC on a Saturday. Drove home. And then I found out that I was playing the Open Cup game on that Tuesday. So I was home, and then I had to train back up on Monday night at 7 and I got the sack at 11. And meanwhile, on Monday we did a full hard lift, so my legs were just so tired, and I was oh, well, just gotta go play. And it was a really fun game. And then the second one was we were playing at New Mexico. And so I flew out to Reno Friday morning, because they were training Friday morning in Reno, and they're going to fly to Albuquerque that night. So flew in, trained, supposed to catch a flight at noon to Phoenix. That got delayed 3 hours. So we're okay, well, I guess we're going to Phoenix a little late. I'm sure the flight to Albuquerque will be pushed back. Mm-hmm. We get to Phoenix and there's no more flights to Albuquerque. And we're okay. So we're scrambling around the airport. Some of us fly back to Vegas. Some of us stay in Phoenix. and then some like catch a new flight to somewhere else and then go to Albuquerque. So I went from San Jose to Reno in the morning, Reno to Phoenix, Phoenix to Vegas, Vegas to Albuquerque. So I didn't get to Albuquerque, or we didn't get out until like 11 p.m. So we get to the hotel at like midnight. Oh well, like is what it is. You got to like, fight through it, and then we ended up like beating New Mexico like 3-1 that next.
You guys still won too, huh?
Yeah, it was just like you just got to roll with the punches and deal with it. I think that's something that's pretty cool.
And New Mexico's one of those atmospheres where like the fans bring it. Like I know it's I believe it's at their baseball stadium. But I mean, you always see it's close to sold out. They're loud, they're rowdy. And then it doesn't help that New Mexico is chippy. And every match I watch, I think a fight's going to break out because they're just getting, yellow cards and all of that. But was there one match for either of you guys, home, away, whatever it may be, with Reno that will always stand out and be like, okay, no matter what happens in my career, I'm proud of this match?
I mean, the easiest answer for me would be that game at Monarchs. The playoff game at Monarchs would probably be the one for me. I'm sure there was other ones along the way. I remember one where we were in maybe it was Tulsa or something. We were like down 2-0, came back and won 3-2. Like there's always stuff like that. But for me, yeah, that Monarchs game with Brian Brown's header in like the 94th minute to win that was awesome. That was just such a fun experience. So and especially coming from being a Real Salt Lake Academy player and stuff, back with all those guys, it was that one stands out for sure.
Yeah, I think the two for me was I don't remember if they're both in. I think they were both in 2018 when we were at SAC. We were down 2-0 and they came back and won 3-2. Like had 3 goals in the second half. And then the second one was when we scored when Antoine scored like the last second winner against Vegas. It was a 95th minute kind of ball over the top, and I think that was that might have been the first win ever against Vegas or something. So like that was like a really cool. Those two, especially against the kind of Reno's rivals, were really cool.
And that one happened right before I moved to Reno, because I remember Doug, who was my manager at the time, he emailed me the video and he's like, look at this really cool win that we got last night. And it was awesome. I think we still play highlights of it. But you two have such a similar situation for the past few years, with being with San Jose, being with Reno, being goalkeepers, just going through 2020 together. So what is your guys' relationship like compared to maybe your guys' with the rest of your teammates?
I think I'll start us off. I think I was actually just thinking about this before we went on. I think one of the coolest moments, and I don't even know if Matt will remember this, probably not, was when I was coming into training in 2017. I wasn't on the team yet, but it was summertime and I was home from college, and came into training. It was, at the time, it was Matt, Andrew Tarbell, and David Bingham were the 3 keepers. And Matt and I were just kind of, we were finished with the goalkeeping section of the training, and then we must have been playing a small-sided game. And Matt and I were just talking. He was like, yeah, like I don't want to be like kind of one of those guys who, like, just because you come in, like treat you all differently. And, like you come in here and like we're friends, and we just started talking. And from that moment, I was like, this guy is so cool. Just always treated me with respect and with honesty and integrity. And I think, it was like such in passing that Matt probably doesn't even remember, but that was like definitely a moment for me. And I was like, that's why I was so excited once I signed and to kind of be teammates with him.
Yeah, I think like even through just the years and kind of like when you're in like as goalkeepers on a roster and you share these spots together, like you're in the trenches together. Like some of our trainings have just been the most difficult days. Like you got to bring each other out, and kind of like the standard that you bring into training. And it's why when we each have our own success, whether it be playing a good game, getting an opportunity, or like what he's done with the national team and stuff, like that type of support is just genuine from both sides, because we know that the lessons that he learns in that type of environment, he's going to bring to training, and that those lessons are going to make me a better player, make me a better person. And it just kind of works like that. And I have to be completely honest, it's not always like that with everyone. So very thankful that that's the way it is here and the way it's been. And what we had with Andrew before, Andrew's an absolutely amazing human being. And then Daniel Vega's is been fantastic, taught us so many things about kind of the South American culture and the different sides of goalkeeping. And yeah, it's like I said, it's not always like that. I've been a part of groups where it hasn't been that way. And so seeing it and kind of being a part of it this whole time has been pretty amazing.
That's awesome. And I've been around sports long enough, I think 8 years now, where I know not every teammate is going to have that sort of personality, one that really bonds with everyone, especially in baseball. You can definitely see like the vets and the rookies and just kind of standoffish. So it's really cool that you guys have that friendship. And that's why I wanted to get both of you guys on the show at the same time. And I guess one question that is totally random, and you probably might judge me for asking this, but your head coach, I know he has a translator, Santi's brother, my old coworker's brother. Have you picked up any Spanish, like in the past 2 seasons with him, or no?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So not only like Matias has a translator, but Matt and I's goalkeeper coach, Carlos, doesn't have a translator. And so like when we first started in 2019, like Vega was doing a lot of the translating, but then kind of got to the point where like we both kind of felt bad because we're like, he's not here to translate for us, like, and then as we got more comfortable with Carlos and, the drills started to repeat. And I mean, there's only so many words to describe soccer or goalkeeping. So luckily I took Spanish in high school and college. So remember a lot of it, but definitely have picked up a lot of Argentinian slang and Argentinian cuss words. That's for sure.
Yeah, JT definitely had a better starting block than I did for sure. Yeah. Like I grew up in Arizona, so people have been speaking Spanish around my whole entire life. So my comprehension has been decent, but some of the stuff that they say with the Argentinian slang, like, it's just different. Like there's just a couple key words that you'll miss, and it's gotten better and better through the last 2 years, but there'll even be a couple times. I remember like the last month of 2020, there's a couple drills that I like just didn't do right. And I was like, what am I missing? I feel like I heard everything he said correct. And it'd just be like one word I didn't catch. And JT would be like, nah, you gotta do this. I'd be like,
yeah. And I felt terrible because I was like, oh, like I thought like we both got it. And then I was like, oh, like I should have said something. Like that's my bad.
I just did. Yeah. Sometimes you just miss it. That's kind of how it works with the whole lack of translation. Working with Augustine, Augustine's been awesome. His role and kind of even the growth in his position has been really cool to see. Cause I mean, he has to understand the sport just as, obviously not just much as Matias, but he has to be able to convey the message in English properly. And so it's been pretty cool to see him just improve that as well.
That's awesome. And I'm really jealous, JT, that you can pick it up because I took it for 3 or 4 years in high school or middle school than high school. And I can speak and understand maybe like 20 words still. And I've done Duolingo. I have tried for like a decade.
Speaking is much different for me. I still can't speak it like at all, but understanding has gotten a bit better.
I agree though with Matt though, like in Arizona, I feel like you're around it a lot, but it's just, I sound completely stupid trying to speak it. So
so do I. So it's okay.
Perfect.
I got lucky in 2015. I went to Spain for like 6 weeks and was just playing with some Segunda B teams over there. And like the host family I was with the first night, like I played and I just realized like when you can't speak the language at all in goal, like your team doesn't, like they don't play properly. They don't know where to go sometimes. They just miss pieces of it. And like communication is such an important piece. So I literally wrote down like 20 words that I felt like would help me. And so like on the field, I could command a back line to play fully like in Spanish. Man, the words may not be perfect, pronunciation may not be perfect, but they'll understand what I'm saying. So like in the game, it's good, but in the back and forth between you and I, no chance. That's not, I know my lane. That's not it. That's definitely not.
Maybe we'll all get there someday. But looking forward to 2021, hopefully there's some sense of normalcy in the sports world. I know with us in baseball, we're still waiting. We have no clue. Hopefully with soccer, I know it starts up earlier. So, hopefully things get back to normal. But what are you guys most looking forward to in the new year?
I would say taking all the stuff that we've learned in 2020 on the field, off the field, about soccer, about life in general, and kind of using those changes to better the world. I think there's been a lot of obviously 2020 has been really tough for a lot of people, and there's been a lot of bad, but also I think with bad, there's a lot of good that comes from it. There's been plenty of uncomfortable conversations that we've had to face, and I'm just hoping and I think really optimistic for the future that, this year isn't just going to be swept under the rug, and take a lot of the good that's come out of it to better not just our lives, but kind of all the lives around us.
Yeah, just to second that, I think there's just that built up resistance from kind of getting through the year. For us having a season, for us having no positives in our team during that whole time. Like, even back to your question from before, when you asked what the protocols were like we essentially did almost an entire season on lockdown. We didn't do anything. We didn't go see people. My family lives one state away. I did not see them one time in 2020 until last week. So it's just some of those things, maybe get back to a little bit more normalcy on that. Like, obviously we're not rushing into it, but definitely excited to be able to have the loved ones be a part of our life a little more. I feel like I missed almost a whole year of my nephew. Didn't get that. He was 2 years old. I came back and he was 3 years old. And I was like, it's kind of wild how that works. It's too obvious, but yeah, definitely excited to get a little bit of those things back.
Awesome. Well, hopefully it gets back to normal sooner rather than later. JT, you made a really good point, and then Matt, you seconded it about just all the change that happened in 2020, and the bubble was a great example of it. You guys did so much with the Black Lives Matter movement, and there was a lot of attention around MLS and the change that you guys were trying to make. And I agree. Hopefully, everything that you guys as players and the coaches and everybody did to, try to take a stand, hopefully that just carries over into 2021 and wasn't just a one season thing. But that's all the questions I have for you guys. I told you I would not take up too much of your time, but I guess final question really quick. Where can people follow you guys on social media? Can you remember? Because Kevin Partita couldn't remember his, so he said just search Kevin Partita.
Yeah, mine's pretty easy. Instagram, I think it's just JT Marcinkowski, and then on Twitter, it's just JT_Marcinkowski. So
easy enough.
Mine, I believe they're both just at Bersano1. Twitter is going to have a lot of retweets and stuff, not too much original content. And then Instagram is going to have a lot of my girlfriend, who is my social media coordinator, all of her fancy pictures that I will be, again, resharing as well.
Yeah, you have some really good quality content on your page, like the Halloween costumes. Big fan of those.
Yeah, those are fun to put together, definitely.
Loved it. I swore a onesie and ordered Chipotle delivery and lived it up. So y'all were doing much better than me on Halloween, that's for sure.
But try to have fun in this year, right?
Exactly. Well, thank you both so much. Enjoy the last little bit of your off season, and hopefully I can make it out to San Jose to watch you guys kill it in 2021.
Thank you.
Yeah.